So now we have Chris Wood. He's a co-founder of Moonshot Compost, a Texas-based company that helps businesses and residents divert food waste from landfills through data-driven collection and composting services. They launched in 2020, and since then, Moonshot has grown to serve customers in uh, Austin, Dallas, Fort Worth, Houston, Waco. He'll show you a nice map that includes schools, hospitals, corporate campuses. The company provides transparent diversion reporting that I'm excited to see and supports customers in achieving their sustainability goals. A former lawyer, Chris now focuses on building scalable, impact-driven solutions in the circular economy. He's passionate about making composting more accessible and helping communities rethink waste as a resource. So thanks, Chris, and the floor is yours.
Great. Thank you so much, Jorge, and thank you, BPI, for this opportunity. Do want to start a little bit, how did I get myself in this mess? I was a lawyer for a long time. My co-founder, Joe Villa, is my brother-in-law, so this is very much a family affair. And we love this picture. This is from June of 2020 in the thick of the first lockdowns when we started our business, largely a residential business because everyone was at home, collecting in our trucks. And so that's the back of Joe's pickup truck there. And as Jorge mentioned, we're now spread across Texas. It's a big place. So Austin, Dallas, Fort Worth, Houston are all about 200 miles apart. So we have separate operations in each city. And then we do have Waco that we serve from Austin. And it took us a few years to get to this footprint, but we've been working hard on it. We always like to start with why are we doing this, right? Everyone knows this stuff. Food waste is quantitatively and qualitatively a problem. So there's a lot of food waste, about 66 million tons a year. Takes up way too much space in landfill, and it's the third largest source of methane. So we know we got to fix it. This is old data, and I think there's new data from Refed, but I think it's still directionally interesting. Where does the food waste come from? A lot of it happens at the agricultural point and post-harvest and processing and packaging. As a micro hauler, I probably don't have a chance to help much there. So we're pretty focused on retail distribution and consumption, catching people where they eat and where they prepare food. And that's about 60% of the problem. So we're working on a big chunk of it, but there's still more good work to be done. And I mean, I'm presuming that everyone on the call sort of knows how composting works. We'll talk about it a little bit from our perspective, but creating a clean stream is everything. We'll talk about compostable packaging here in a little bit, but it's really important that we've built our entire program around the concept of creating a clean stream because whether you're taking compostable packaging or not, that's what the compost facilities we work with demand. Here's our tools. We keep it pretty simple. The counter caddy in the center is what we provide to our residential subscribers. They get a 4-gallon bucket. I wish we were using those really cool 5-gallon buckets, but we made the decision a long time ago and we're sticking with it, and they've been just fine. And then on the commercial side, we still operate box trucks and we're utilizing 55-gallon drums. We did think we would have switched to toters by now, but we found the drums in our climate to be very useful. We have 1.5 seasons in Houston. It's just summer, 9 months a year. And then for 3 months, we pretend it's something else. But it's very hot. And because of that, the drums really keep the smells in and bugs and rodents out. And that's been a huge asset for all our customers. And so we've just built a business around that. And we're doing a drum exchange where we're washing, we're dropping a clean drum every time we pick up a full one. And in terms of splits, we thought we'd be about 2/3 commercial and 1/3 residential. As it turns out, we're really only doing residential in Houston at any scale. And so we're about 90% commercial. So that we've really built most of our solutions around that. Here is our e-van for residential. So we really love that. We're driving an electric vehicle. Then here's one of our old box trucks here. For people out of the industry, this is a very disgusting picture, but for us, we love it. It's a really clean stream, and those are all BPI certified compostable bags. And that's a big part of our last check is, drivers are pulling contaminants out when they get to collect a drum that they see, and then after they tip is another point for us. And then we give compost back twice a year. All of our subscribers, residential or commercial, have the right to receive compost back. We used to do it at 2 scheduled times, but it just got to be we were moving too much compost. So now we kind of email people periodically through the year and see when they want it back. A lot of people don't want it back. And so that gives us kind of compost for the bank that we then will return to our community gardens. We run a drop-off program in Houston at Community Gardens, and we make sure to keep them in compost a couple times a year. So want to slow down a little bit and focus on how do we think about compostable packaging, because we are the front door of the compost facilities we work with. As Jorge had alluded to earlier, we do not compost ourselves. Texas has a very diverse and well-established infrastructure on composting, and we don't feel like we have much to add there. But there is a great need for additional logistical solutions to move food waste from source generation to the compost facilities that'll take it, and that's where we focus our time. Not going to spend a lot of time on the words on this page, other than to say biodegradable is a thing that's irrelevant to our analysis when we're talking about compostable packaging. So all compostables are biodegradable, but as Elements Composting and Julie were mentioning previously, labeling can be very confusing. And we tell our customers, ignore the words biodegradable when you're making packaging choices. You're looking for something that's compostable. We strongly believe that accepting compostable packaging unlocks and expands available diversion. What I mean by that, we tend to want to do back of house programs, right? It's the cleanest stream. Typically, you're working with people in kitchens or food people, and they get it. So for us, this bulleted list is kind of how we think about introducing ourselves to a new customer. We'll start with a pilot program. If there's a lot of different collection points, we'll keep it small. We'll start back of house to limit contamination. We make them earn the right to do front of house by doing back of house separately. If they want to utilize compostable packaging, we ask to consult with them and we help them make choices. We now offer compostable packaging through Eco Products and World Centric, and we don't require they buy it from us. We just want to be an easy button if that's something that helps. And then we give so much feedback, and we'll talk more about that on the next slide. When it comes to unlocking and expanding, though, there are some corporate headquarters that don't really have a back of house and all they have is front of house, and they won't do the front of house without packaging. And so we have found a number of people that say, no, from the get-go, we want to do compostable packaging. We want to do front of house. And that's just work you wouldn't get if we weren't able to say yes to the compostable packaging. So we know that we're able to get at more food waste. Rice University and Snooze, just a couple of examples of customers of ours where we're accepting compostable packaging and moving lots of food waste in some ways because of it. And I just don't think you can talk about communication enough, right? We have to communicate. So we do site visits with prospective customers prior to proposals to really hone in on what they're trying to do. We have dedicated signage for kitchens. We will not drop our drums until we can do trainings with the appropriate staff that are going to be managing the program. And for front of house, so we have blue drums. I'll show you pictures for back of house. For front of house programs, we use black drums. And it sounds funny that you would use different drums, but typically back of house, the food waste is moved by the kitchen staff. Front of house, the food waste is moved by janitorial. And we feel like contamination rates may be higher in front of house programs. And so it gives us the ability to really do a little bit more sorting and viewing for potential contaminants. And then we take pictures. So if the drivers find contamination, they've got training what to do. We take those pictures, we email them back to our customers, and then that lets us know when to go out and do retrainings when those pictures get too frequent. And then again, it's all about communication with our compost facilities. Every facility in each geographic area that we work with is different. And we learn so much from working with different facilities that run different processes. And in some cases, we have facilities that'll say, we will take compostable packaging, but we can't take PLA, or we can't take the clear clamshell lids. And so we have to go back then and train our customers that we're picking up the food waste, what type of packaging. And we have found that they're super receptive to that. And we know that it's possible to carry, as a hauler, to carry communication from the compost facility back to the source generators and build a program that includes compostable packaging that meets everyone's goals. And we love that. That's really important. And I just, we've been doing this for 5 years, and I think we've had 3 total calls from compost facilities about contamination. And, we're going every day somewhere across Texas, many times a day. So we know it works when you communicate properly and when you train your own staff on what that means. And then we're big believers in weights and reporting. So if we can measure it, you can change it. And I just want to real quickly run through what that looks like. So this is a hospital in Dallas. We had just started their program. They're about a month into it. This is how many pounds they diverted. We try to help them convert that using the EPA war model data into impact. And then, down here at the bottom is another hospital system that we work with where we're at several different locations. This is their summary page. We see the total amount of weight, the total impact, and then this is kind of a last 12 months graph. And this is data that we sell back to our subscribers. And just the last slide, I'll show you all. This is what we call, actually, we haven't rolled the name out yet. It's just our dashboard. But if you go to this QR code or link at the bottom of this page, you can see all the food waste we've ever collected for 5 years across Texas, sorted in as many different ways as we can sort it. We believe that if we just keep putting programs together that are clean and easy and keep reporting data back, whether it involves compostable packaging or not, it encourages people to make good decisions. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Chris. That was great. Yeah, I like yeah, from Julie and you, I like the yeah, the staying ahead of the curve in terms of, using data in nice dashboards to show what you're doing, and then on element side, getting into the compostables field testing as well, and working with third parties to do that. So it's really exciting. Thanks, Chris.